Hello everybody and welcome to the Midway Schoolhouse. I'm here today to share a story with everyone as part of our St. Lucia Festival. And this year, of course, we're a little bit constrained in terms of what we're able to do, but this will be a special video opportunity to learn the story of Pierre and the dala horse. Now, of course, the dala horse is a traditional painted toy that is a hand-carved horse that's hand-painted in a special traditional Swedish fashion. And of course, they have special magical powers, as you're going to discover in this great story. So let's get started. Pierre and the Dala Horse by Rebecca Hickox and illustrated by Yvonne Gilbert. Once, many years ago, in the province of Dalarna, a farmer died, leaving all he owned to his 3 sons. To the eldest, Nils, he willed his farm, the workhorse, and the plow. To the second, Eric, he left his fine riding horse. The third son, Pierre, was hardly more than a boy. He received a small wooden horse, handsomely carved and painted, which some said had been given to his father by a skogtro, a spirit of the forest. Each was pleased with his portion, but Nils and Eric scoffed at Pierre. "What good is a little wooden horse for work in a farm? It's enough that it's beautiful," answered Pierre, "and besides, it may be useful someday." One Sunday morning, when the 3 arrived at church, they found the congregation in an uproar and the parson wringing his hands. "The trolls have stolen the gold communion cup from my house," he cried. "I should never have taken it from the church for cleaning. It would have been safe here on holy ground." 10 gold pieces to the one who returns it," shouted the merchant Gustav over the din. That night, Pierre dreamed that his wooden horse was standing on his pillow. "Take me to the trolls," it whispered in Pierre's ear. "I know how to get the cup back." The next morning, Pierre told of his dream, but Nils announced that he already had a plan for retrieving the gold cup. After breakfast, he hitched the workhorse to the plow and started digging long furrows from the churchyard across many fields and through the woods until he reached the foot of the Trolls' Mountain. After 2 days of plowing that way, Nils began making furrows across those he'd already dug. At sunset on Thursday, the best night of the week to find trolls, Eric and Pierre walked with him to the church. "Here," said Pierre, "take my little horse. Maybe he can help you." Nils laughed. "Ha! I don't need help from a toy, for I have outwitted the trolls." "Just remember," warned Eric, "if you drink the troll's brew, you'll lose your memory and become their slave." "Don't worry," said Nils. "I won't drink a drop." He bade them farewell and strode across the fields and through the forest. He did not stop until he stood on the side of the Trolls' Mountain. "Trolls," he called, "I'm thirsty." Now, trolls are lazy creatures, always hoping to capture a human to do their work. So in less than a moment, the earth cracked open, and a troll maiden carrying a drinking horn climbed out. "Here, sir, a special brew should quench your thirst," she said, offering him the horn. "Ha!" Nils replied, "I'm a prosperous landowner. I do not drink from horns." A second troll climbed out of the earth with a silver cup. "You'll find our brew taste especially good after a climb." Nils again refused to take it. "I can drink from silver any time. Do the trolls have nothing finer to offer their guest?" With that, a third troll emerged with the church's gold cup. "Here is our finest," said the troll. "See how it makes the brew sparkle?" "Ah, that's more to my liking," cried Nils. He grabbed the cup, dashed the contents at the trolls, and began running down the mountainside. A fearsome howling rose behind him as scores of trolls poured from the earth and gave chase. The noise doubled when they reached the foot of the mountain and found all the cross furrows, for a troll cannot pass over a cross. They can, however, run swift as a deer and never tire. Even though the trolls had to run around every cross, Nils was only halfway back to the church when they caught him, gave him a terrible beating, and took back the cup. That night, the wooden horse again appeared in Pierre's dream. Troll magic can work two ways. Take me to get the cup. The next Thursday, Eric tried his luck. Take my wooden horse, urged Pierre. It's a real horse I'll be taking, replied Eric as he mounted his horse and started out, careful not to disturb Nils's furrows. Eric found the same welcome and used the same trick to get the golden cup. This time, however, when he had it in his hands, he leaped astride his horse and galloped down the mountain. The trolls again streamed after him, though the crosses slowed them and Eric's horse was swift. Two of the strongest trolls were nearly alongside as he approached the churchyard. "The tail!" screamed the other trolls. "Grab the beast's tail!" The closest troll did, and just outside the churchyard gate, the horse and rider were pulled to the ground. The angry trolls gave them a pounding, then ran back to their mountain with the beautiful cup. That night, Pierre once again dreamed that his horse was speaking to him. The wood spirit who carved me knew all the trolls' tricks. Touch me with their brew and see what you shall see. The next Thursday, Pierre announced that he was going to rescue the cup. My little horse will help me, he said. You'll need more than a toy to escape the trolls, warned Eric. They're bound to be very angry by now. Nils agreed. They'll drag you and your horse down to their caves, and then you will need rescuing along with the cup. Nevertheless, that evening, Pierre slipped his horse into his pocket and walked off across the countryside. When he was halfway up the mountain, he set his horse on the ground and called out, Trolls, have you anything to offer a thirsty traveler? A suspicious troll appeared through a crack in the earth and held out a drinking horn. No, thank you, said Pierre. Horns are too common. When a second troll offered him a silver cup, he waved it away. Silver is not to my liking. The trolls did not want to chase the communion cup again. They formed a ring around Pierre before a troll maiden finally came forward holding the precious gold cup. As soon as it was in his hands, Pierre poured a few drops of the enchanted brew on the little horse. In an instant, it stood as tall as a stallion. Clutching the cup, Pierre leaped onto its back. The horse bounded over the circle of trolls and galloped down the mountain. With a roar of rage, the trolls raced after them. As Pierre and his horse approached the churchyard, the two strongest trolls caught up. They reached out to seize the horse's tail, but found only smooth wood and shiny paint. Though they scratched and clawed, there was no tail to grab. Pierre clutched the cup with one arm and the horse's neck with the other as they flew over the wall and landed in a heap on holy ground. Underworld magic had no power there. The little horse lay on its side, a toy as before, except for several deep scratches along its flanks. With his 10 gold pieces, Pierre bought a small farm and soon added to it. In the years that followed, he became one of the wealthiest farmers in the province, but his most cherished possession remained a scratched wooden horse, which he proudly left to his youngest son. Author notes for Pierre and the Dala horse. Dala horses, or dalabaster, are hand-carved, brightly painted toys that have been made in the Dalarna province of Sweden for over 150 years. I purchased one in the Swedish-American town of Lindborg, Kansas several years ago, and right away that little horse begged to be in a story. In search of the right one, I read hundreds of traditional Swedish tales, but none had a Dala horse. I did, however, find a story called Retrieving the Cup in John Lindau's Swedish Legends and Folktales. In this story, an enterprising young man rescues a communion cup by plowing crosses and cutting his horse's mane and tail so that the trolls won't have anything to grab. This seemed to me to be the perfect situation for a Dala horse with its painted mane and tail. The story, as recorded, is quite short, so in addition to adding my little horse, I also changed it to a traditional three brothers tale. Although this is now more an original story than the true retelling of a folk tale, I have included several themes that appear frequently in Swedish tales, such as the power of the church against other worldly creatures, Thursday being the best night to find trolls, and the trolls' constant attempts to enslave humans. Thank you for joining us for this wonderful Swedish tale, Pier and the Dala Horse. Check back with Harbor History Museum for more fun and interesting tales tied to our local and historic traditions.